Shannon Affholter teaches a real estate class within the Runstead Department of Real Estate, as well as providing consulting services in real estate investing and development. He is the former COO of Oak Point Communities and the former executive director of the Master Builders of King and Snohomish County. Hello, Shannon. Thanks for coming on with us today.
Hey, Jeff. Good to see you.
Well, tell us a little bit about your background and how you connected with UW's real estate program.
Well, well, Peter Orser is the one who's got me connected with the Runstead School. He's the one who invited me or asked me if I would have an interest in teaching a leadership class there at the Runstead School. And the majority of people in the real estate industry in Seattle know who Peter Orser is. But part of my connection with Peter was I used to be the executive director at the Master Builders Association in King and Snohomish counties, and Peter was a past president there, and got to know Peter there at the Master Builders Association. And also we did some work. We did some contracting work with the Runstead School when Peter was the interim director of the Runstead School of Real Estate. So that's kind of where I got connected with Runstead. And then I did spend a short time as the chief operating officer at Oak Point Communities, which is a pretty large land developer in the Seattle area. So, have had a connection within the real estate industry within the Seattle region. And that's kind of how I got connected with the Runstead School. They do some great work in the region and have just a tremendous amount of just high reputation, high regard within the region and throughout the nation as well.
Yes, well, so in addition to teaching classes, what else do you do professionally?
Well, I teach at the University of Washington. I also teach a couple business classes at Everett Community College. So I teach there, and then right now just doing a lot of consulting work. Consulting work in the area of operational leadership consulting work for different organizations. I do a lot of real estate development consulting work, working with people who have an interest in developing their properties and walking alongside of them, and also helped raise some capital for different real estate projects and help put together some different real estate projects myself. So just been kind of doing a lot of different things over the last couple of years, and had a lot of fun teaching at the university level, both at Everett Community College and at the University of Washington. So I really have enjoyed that, and I've also really enjoyed the consulting work that I've been doing.
Well, great. So at the UW, you're teaching the real estate leadership class.
Yep.
What do you want your students to walk away from after taking your class?
Well, hopefully they learn something. Hopefully it's not a waste of time. Hopefully they don't kick me out. I think probably the main thing that my hope is that we talk a lot about leadership theory, about the different styles of leadership, the dynamics between a leader and their followers, how leadership can change in different situations. So my hope is that people can take away that there's a lot of different styles for everybody, and people can kind of pick and choose which style fits them the best. But also, there's going to be different situations that are going to ask for a different style. And my hope is that we are able to kind of have those discussions. It's not really to dictate or to tell the students this is how they should lead, but just kind of more for them to think about what kind of leadership style that they would have a desire to be as a person and to lead organizations and their followers, but also to get them to think about that. And I think the class, we can always improve upon it and continue to get better. But I think with the readings that we have, the case studies that we have when we have a discussion in class, but probably the most powerful point of the class is when we bring in our guest speakers. We bring in one guest speaker each class. So it's kind of talking about theory, right? We got the book discussion or the book reading, and then we have the case study discussion. And now we bring in the speaker who kind of talks about, real life experiences, their story. So my hope is really just for our students to really think about why it's important to be a leader in their respective roles, and as they continue to grow in their professional careers, and hopefully just to kind of give it more thought. So as they leave the University of Washington, which is just an amazing institution with again with an amazing reputation in the region, that they're high quality individuals who come into the program, and when they leave, they're going to be our future leaders, and they've given it some thought.
Yes, well, I can say firsthand, taking your class, I've developed more of what I hope to become as a leader and to go forth in the industry. And I mean, things that I've thought about, or just the diverse perspectives of the other guest speakers. I've appreciated where they've come from, what they've said, and different ways of thinking about it. So I appreciate what you've done, both from the theory and the practical side of things.
Well, I appreciate the feedback, and I think as this year. Last fall was my first year teaching a class. We were going to kind of fine tune it, but because we're on Zoom this quarter, really didn't do a lot of different changes. And obviously, as we move forward, we can always fine tune and improve upon the class. But I think overall, your class has been great. I think a lot of times it's not really what I'm teaching or presenting, it's really the dialogue that takes place amongst the students, where we learn from each other. I'm learning just as much from you and the other students with their feedback, and from our guest speakers. And our guest speakers are so great and so good. I mean, just their stories and how they made it in the real estate industry, and where they came from, and then how they lead, and the perspectives. And if you think about all the speakers we've had, they really approach leadership in a lot of different ways, but they're all successful, right? So that's what's so fun and so cool, is that, we can kind of try to figure out how we lead. And a part of the process is the writing part, the summaries, where the students, have to, kind of, read and then talk about it, and then listen, and then write about it. And hopefully, as they, try to put those words down on paper, that also helps them to even understand a little bit more deeper within themselves how they want to lead.
Yeah, and I appreciated what you said about the writings, is that it's not you're not grading on punctuation. It's really about a chance for people to express their own thoughts about leadership, what they agree or disagree with, or their thoughts about a particular style.
Yeah, and the hope is, I know I'm a real believer in journaling, and I know my reading system, as I read on a consistent basis about different areas in my life and how I want to improve as a leader or as a business person. Is that, how you transfer what you read and transfer it on paper. There's something special about going from thinking and reading to writing it, and it somehow, some way, it solidifies in you on what you're trying to learn. And I think that's the hope, is people are writing those summaries, hopefully they'll keep them. And as they continue to pursue their professional careers, they'll want to reflect back upon that later on in life, because there's going to be moments, there'll be a case study that they'll remember that we talked about, in the leadership class. They're going to say, oh yeah, I remember talking about that scenario. Let me go back and read what I thought about how that would be the best way to approach that. So I'm probably enjoying a leadership class more than the students. So it's been thoroughly enjoyable for me to be a part of the class.
Well, great. We appreciate your help on that. And now, changing the page a little bit, share a little bit about yourself and maybe a favorite hobby you have.
Well, probably my favorite hobby over the last few years is when I left Oak Point back in 2018. One of the things I promised my family and my wife would be that I'd kind of maybe slow down a little bit and be closer to home. And probably over the last couple of years in teaching at the college level and doing some consulting work, I've been able to stay closer to home and really just kind of volunteer at my daughter's and my high school. My daughter's high school, my son's high school, as a volunteer coach. My daughter's senior year at Everett High School, I volunteered as one of the assistant tennis coaches there at the high school. And then over the last couple of years, kind of help as an assistant coach with my son's baseball team. So part of the thing I've enjoyed the most in my hobby life is just to spend some time with them, enjoying their high school careers. And this year's my son's senior year, so he'll be out of the house. My daughter's at Eastern Washington University over at Cheney. So once he moves on, I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably have to find something else to do. But the last couple of years, it's been fun just spending time with them.
Great, great. Well, final question. If people wish to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Probably just send me an email at Shannon Affholter at yahoo.com. That's Shannon, SHANNON, Affholter, AFF, like in Frank, HOLT as in Tom, ER, jeff.affholter@yahoo.com. Just send me an email, and you can connect with me. That's the best way.
Great. Well, we'll put a link up on here too so people can get that spelling correct and
All right.
connect with you. So thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it.